we've lost our efficiency, that's for sure.
You know what? We have lost our right to be podcasters.
Take out your script and let's reread from the top, Josh.
Okay. Hello, welcome back to the Cinematic Dores podcast, where we are unscripted. Today, I am talking with Jordan Clark about movies that you may or may not have seen. Otherwise, Jordan, take it from here.
Thanks, Josh. You got Party
Wasn't
Shark?
scripted.
You're ready to party?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Party Shark follows me everywhere I go. And I love it.
I love it.
Or maybe I follow him.
Maybe you follow him. Welcome to the Cinematic Doors podcast, a movie podcast where we give our opinions on your favorite movies and unscripted. That's right.
Yes.
And thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Right now, we're on a bi-weekly schedule. That's not planned. I know we were weekly for a long time. We're going to try to be weekly, but we're kind of on summertime now. So
yeah,
we will drop episodes every month. And we're just going to we are going to do a group of episodes next week. So give us, you should tell us what you want reviews on. So what movies are your favorite movies? I know we're going to do Twilight as one of them.
Yeah.
So far, that's our only one.
Woo!
We'll find some more, but of course we want to surprise you. But that's an audience. That's someone from our audience that wants us to review Twilight. So let us know what movies you want us to review. And the way you can interact with us and tell us is through our different handles. You can interact with us on Instagram at cinematic_doors, on Twitter at cinematicdoors. You can email us cinematicdoors@gmail.com and find us on TikTok, Cinematic Doors.
Cinematic Doors.
Right? And so you can DM us whatever messaging platform allows on those platforms. You can go through those platforms to tell us what movies or what movie topics or celebrity gossip. I don't know, whatever you want us to talk about. We will talk about it.
I don't know about celebrity gossip. I feel like that can't go right.
And Josh, how do you spell Doors?
Dores. Doors. Not like this door.
Not like an actual door, but
like
a Josh
this
door. Or
this
is the Josh door an actual door? And the other door is the liar or cheater or whatever you want to call it?
That's a good question.
The mimicker.
You could probably think that the doors are mimics, but I guess we'll never know. No. Maybe I'm the mimic.
Maybe. Well, technically, your parents, like your family, would be the mimics, right? They would be the ones,
right?
Because they gave you, and then the family before them, the name's been passed down. So
yeah, that's true.
Excellent. So, Josh, it's been a couple of weeks, or it's been a week.
Yeah.
How's your time been?
Oh, it's been great. Honestly, it's felt like longer. I feel like I haven't recorded in like months because just so much has happened. I'm not going to go into the details.
2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like it's felt like forever.
Okay.
I've done a lot. I'm not going to get into details because it's just like a lot of work stuff, secret, private stuff.
Sounds like, sounds good.
Yeah.
So we do have to talk about sports, the NHL. But before we do that, because last time we recorded, you had no one could see it because we didn't upload the video, but we fixed that this week, hopefully. But you had the Edmonton Oilers jersey up in the background, and now they're just not even in the picture. So we'll update.
Were they still? No, were they still playing?
They were still playing. Yeah, they were still playing. For sure.
Anyways, of course, you were the one to bring that up again after I've coped already. Right. And now we're just going to reopen that wound.
Well, my favorite, my basketball team got swept.
That's true. Actually, I would argue that is a lot harder.
Yeah, those games were a lot of those games were actually pretty close. Like the Lakers probably could have won 2 of them.
Almost like the Hurricanes.
It wasn't like, yeah, similar to that. I do think obviously the Nuggets are just so good, and Jokic is watching him play is unreal. He's so good. And the Golden Knights, I think Edmonton was in a similar situation where the Golden Knights are just so good.
Yeah, and the
Really
Oilers
better.
just
Yeah.
really they kind of just dropped the ball. Like they could have won that. I just think that they were a little all over the place. Like I don't know, they lost some kind of mojo. They lost momentum
Right.
and dropped it. So
Yeah, and their goaltender is a rookie. Like he looked like a rookie. So if you
yeah,
can
they
find a
honestly should have just
number one
started with
goaltender,
Campbell.
oh, he's not very good either though. So
I know, but
yeah.
he did well in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know. It whatever. I've come to terms with it. I haven't really been watching hockey because
Oh,
I
dude,
don't
you're
know. It's not
missing.
as exciting when
You're missing out, man. You're missing good
I've been
hockey.
keeping up. I've been keeping up.
Bobrovsky is like, oh my goodness, he's unreal.
I'll watch when it's the finals. So
Like this Panthers team, they've reached a new level this series.
yeah.
Like they are so good, and Bobrovsky is so good. Like watching
Why?
him,
Where did that even come from? Because
he was having a terrible season. Like he wasn't terrible, he just wasn't great. But his stats are unreal. Like 0.948 save percentage, which is unreal. He's gotten one
yeah.
shutout this each series. Like he's topped like 48 shots in one of the games, I think, or close to 50.
He didn't have a shutout in the Bruins.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the Maple Leafs. Oh no, it was just a series. I lied. It was just a series.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't remember
But the
him
Hurricanes,
shutting out that
the
much.
Hurricanes could not. They could not score on him.
No,
It was crazy.
it was he just appeared out of nowhere and did well. And you know what? He's one of the most paid goalies, so it makes sense. Like he better do his job well.
Yeah, he's paid like 10 million a season, which was high, and now he's earning it. Obviously, that's what everyone's saying. I'm just looking this up
Mm-hmm.
here. Oh, his save percentage has come down a bit. They must have just. Oh no, not 0.931. Yeah, 8-2
I
record
know
in 12 games.
it's crazy. He just appeared and just like I don't know what happened there.
He did get a shutout in the Toronto series, and he got one in the
Oh, did
Carolina
he?
series. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Good for him.
Against the Toronto Maple Leafs, 1.81 save percentage. Oh, sorry, 9.943 save percentage, and average goals against of 1.89 against the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, no, I honestly
Unreal.
the Panthers are probably going to take the cup. I'm interested to see what the finals will be like.
Well, that series is going to be awesome because
Yeah.
is it Aiden Hill, right? He's playing unreal too.
Yeah.
So that yeah, the Golden Knights are looking awesome. Like Mark Stone's so good, and that's gonna be a fun series, man. It's gonna be old school hockey. Like both teams are pretty tough. They have chips on their shoulders, and watching Kachuk play too, like Kachuk leading that team, like that team's got an edge now, the Panthers. So I want Kachuk to
I
win
know.
because I loved him
It's
as a
interesting.
Flame. So I do want the Panthers to win, and they haven't won a
If only
cup
he
in a
performed
long.
well with the Flames.
Right. He did perform well, just on the playoffs. Really, last year he wasn't terrible in the playoffs. I mean, he wasn't that great in the Dallas series, but he did score a few goals in the Edmonton series. But the Edmonton Oilers just ran over them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
But and the NBA finals, like watching the Nuggets will be fun to watch. So I think they'll win. I think they'll win because I think they're better than both teams in the East. But I don't know. It's fun. Like they've been fun to watch. So fun stuff. Like if you like sports, I would recommend watching NHL and basketball. You're some really good teams with some really good players on them.
There's been so much going on in the NHL, just with like the Kyle Dubas and the
Awesome. Yeah.
Coyotes,
Oh man,
and
it's so
then
awesome.
there's the Flames, which got their new GM.
Yeah, I like
It's
who they
just
found. Yeah, and he's
there's
been with
so
the
much going
organization.
on.
He's been with the organization for so long, Craig Conroy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they have him. Coaching wise, now they need to find a coach. So we'll see.
Yeah, so it's been interesting.
Yeah,
Um, oh,
Kyle Dubas,
I've still been listening to the Kipper and Bourne
right? Yeah,
and Oilers Nation podcasts.
the Toronto stuff is
Yeah,
juicy, eh?
yeah. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shanahan handled that pretty poorly, I thought. So, and I think Dubas
yeah.
did too. So I think it's both. But
It was just, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is with all this like high school drama type? There's like, could be manipulation and
well, I mean, when you're in positions of any type of leadership, like and there's someone above you, you're always
Mhm,
thinking about that. Like even as a like we're always thinking about the next step at times, and like no matter what
mhm,
work you go into, that's always there. So and then it's
mhm,
one thing to try to create leverage, which I think Dubas tried to do.
mhm.
And then Shanahan just like told everything to the public about that week, and which I didn't agree with. Just bad
Oh
leadership, right?
gosh, it was
So it's just
the
bad.
flames
I
are just
agree with.
a flaming. They're just a car on fire, and you can't stop it.
Yes, and I agree with Nick Kiprios with the situation. Like it's just, and even Justin Bourne, like bad leadership. Like it's just bad.
Mhm.
No one made a decision really,
Yeah.
and they should have made a decision and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a good lesson to learn. And
The only guy
Dubas,
that made the decision was the guy that quit after Dubas left.
Jason Spezza, yeah,
Yeah.
like right away, and he probably shouldn't have done that. Like,
Yeah.
but
No.
clearly he's a
Well.
Dubas guy. So yeah, it's crazy. It's now they have
Oh,
some
party
huge
shark turned off.
they have some huge contracts. He's so sad talking about this Dubas stuff. Um
Yeah.
yeah, now they have this contract stuff and they have to or big contracts to sign before July 1st, and
Yeah.
are they going to keep the
It's.
four core together and all that
I
stuff?
mean,
It's going to
how
be fun
can
to
they
watch.
just keep going with them?
Yeah, they
I don't
played
know.
very lackadaisical hockey in that
It's
last
just
series.
that
It
was
was
one of the most boring series I've ever.
just like no passion. And then you watch the Carolina Panthers series, and man, like that first game, especially going to four overtimes, that was a chippy game. Like just
Yeah. I.
really good fast skating, good goals, hard hits. Like just you can tell both teams were fighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't really evident in the Toronto series at all. So I think that's why people are quite upset, and they should be. I mean, you pay tickets to go
Yeah.
to games and you get that on the ice, and you have. I think those four. I think that team probably should have played better than they showed.
Oh yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah,
They. Yeah.
you need to be tough,
But
man. Playoff hockey and basketball, you need to be tough in the playoffs. You can't just roll
yeah.
over.
Actually, when I found out that the Lakers were swept, I was like, "Oh, Jordan, I'm sorry."
Well, I honestly, the Lakers overachieved this year. I did not expect them to even make the playoffs. So the fact that they got to the Western Conference Finals, and the big question now is what's they have some big people to sign, and they can't afford everyone. So who's going to
Mm-hmm.
go, and who are they going to try to? They need another shooter for sure.
Well, that's kind of
D'Angelo,
similar with the Oilers.
yeah, yeah, D'Angelo Russell just stunk in that Western Conference Finals. He played good in the first two series, but he
Mm-hmm.
just was not good in that last. Like he shouldn't have been on the floor as much, and they should have played through Austin Reeves more. But LeBron is LeBron, so they're going to play through him because he's LeBron. Like you kind of need
Yeah,
a coach to stand up
he's
to that a
what
bit. Yeah,
I mean, and he brings on a lot of the views. So
right. So we'll see. Like I like the team. The team is when I was watching them, when LeBron broke the scoring record and Westbrook was still on the team, and watching that game, even though it was exciting to watch LeBron break the record, like Kareem's record, um, that was a depressing game to watch. Like it was
Yeah,
like
that's tough.
thinking about the future of the Lakers. I was like, I'm not excited at all about this team. This team sucks. And now, like, I'm not worried about the offseason. I think the team, who they have now is good. And they just need to find another shooter and continue to play good defense, and we'll see. So they need to sign Austin Reeves. I love him, so they need to sign him. But we'll see if they get to sign him or not, or if another team offers him a huge contract. It sucks they got swept, but like those games, at least 3 of those games were very close.
Well, at least that it wasn't
Like
just like,
they lost by 3 points the first game. Like they could have won that game.
oh,
They
that
actually blew it. Yeah.
yikes.
And then they lost by 7 or 8 the next game, and then they lost by 11. So it was like
Oh, so they just started to get worse and
a little bit
worse.
worse. Yeah. And that second game, they
Or
were
the
up
other
by,
team got better and better.
I think that was a part of it, because the Nuggets just, like, Jamal Murray scored. He had 2 games where he scored like 20 points in one quarter in the third game or second game, and he scored 45 points the next game. And like, I think 20 of
Wow.
those was in the fourth quarter. Like there was one game, I think it was the second game, like he just was shooting threes. He shot like 4 or 5 threes in a row and scored them. And he was
Yeah,
covered.
that's just
And he played the whole game. Like he took
that's just a
2 or 3
different
subs, and he was
level.
so tired, but he would just chuck the shot up and it would go in. Like it was just, you can't be mad at that. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Jokic like scored this, like when he was covered by 3 guys and he chucked up a 3 just at the buzzer, and like at the shot clock buzzer, and it went in, and like put 4 guys on him. I don't know. You can't do
yeah.
anything about that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he
it's almost like
yeah,
it just feels better when your team was beat by one that's just clearly
better.
really good, other than
They're better.
on
Yeah.
on the other side where you're just like, oh, it sucks when your team, like, they can do well, but then
Mm-hmm.
do awful,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, oh, that was that was
Yeah.
harsh.
The thing is that, and they got a lot of the reffing was against the Nuggets. Like I totally own that as a Lakers fan. Like the reffing was in favor of the Lakers that series.
Mm.
But just to see, yeah, like it just wasn't. I'm glad the Lakers didn't just roll over. Like you could tell they were trying. I think they're just old. Like LeBron's so old. He didn't look like his normal self. He's injured too, and
Yeah, how old
he's
is
just old.
LeBron?
He's 38.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
he's 38 years old. This is 20th season. He's old,
Wow.
man. Like he doesn't look like old LeBron, right? So, and I think he
Yeah.
needs to recognize that he needs to play through another player at times, not just him, because
Yeah.
he can't shoot threes anymore. And there was the one part of the game 3 where he just kept chucking up threes, and that none of them went in. It sucked. Like, and he's chucking up threes because he's tired. He's not going to drive to the
Yeah.
basket, right? So it's like, you're tired, LeBron. Stop doing that. Stop throwing
Like,
threes. So yeah. And they only
wow.
lost by 8
Yeah.
that game. Like they were still in the game the whole game. So it's not like they were totally out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the Nuggets should win the finals, but I'm excited to watch the Boston game tomorrow. And because the Boston Celtics are on the verge of coming back, they were about to get swept, and now they've won. Obviously, they've won every game. It's game 6 tomorrow. So the series is now 3-2, and no team in the NBA has come back from a 3-0 deficit
Really?
ever. So they could break a record. So I'm excited to watch that
Wow,
tomorrow.
another
Yeah.
Boston team.
Actually doing good though.
Yeah. Oh man,
But
yeah, and then Dallas won, so there's a chance that there's an actual series there.
I don't think
But
Dallas has it to come back. But hey, it's been a weird playoffs, so you never
yeah.
know. You never know. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like really excited for this. Oh, bit of housekeeping. We
Right.
recorded it last. We had to redo the recording. So shout out to my friend Josh,
Not me.
who I talked to last week, and man, he's got some words about that episode on the Patriot.
Ooh.
It
Wait,
was
so you're
funny.
telling me
He was so okay.
that?
Here's the story.
Oh
Just wait,
gosh.
Josh. He saw the upload and he was so excited. He's like, and I told Josh on our next episode I would call him out and talk about this, and he's excited for it. But he was so excited to listen to that episode,
Oh
and
no.
he was so mad, like, and he just wants to let you know, Josh, that you need to grow up and rewatch the Patriot and like it.
Okay, well,
And I think for me, like I
not
rated
all
it 3.5
Joshes
out
get
of
along.
yeah. I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think that's one review. Like if we ever do a revisit episode where we go back and look at our old scores, which
Yeah, maybe.
we're a year old soon, so that would be a fun
What?
thing to do,
Oh,
like our podcast.
I thought you said you're old soon.
No,
I'm like,
we are
what?
a year old soon as a
Yeah, that's
podcast, right?
true. We need
So
to like
we could do
actually
that. We could do that as a
there's an
year episode.
episode idea.
Yeah. So maybe
Go
we'll
back.
do that. Go back and look at our major reviews and see if we would change the score on any of them. Or we can even do that once a month, or just
I think
do that
we should
moving
have
forward.
it where like either like you get them and then one of us reacts and be like, whoa, what?
You get them. What do you mean you get them?
Like you find all them, put them in a sheet, or like someone else finds them, puts them in a sheet, and then we like reveal it on air.
Like what it is?
Yeah. So it's like, because like I don't remember what I gave the Batman.
So you want like an instant reaction, like a kind of like a reaction episode in that way.
Yeah.
Where you don't know the score beforehand, and I reveal it on the air, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or we
let's do that.
Yeah. And be like, oh wow, that's crazy.
So do you want me to like not even tell you what the movie is that we're doing? We just keep it all a mystery?
Oh, are we doing just one movie or a bunch of movies?
Well, we'll do a bunch, but we can record one episode next. Like we can record that episode next week where we revisit a movie.
We can figure it out later.
Okay, that's a good. I love that idea though. So we'll start doing that. Yeah. If I were to do that with the Patriot, I might give it a 4 out of 5 moving forward. But yeah, Josh was laughing so hard. He was like, man, he's like, it made me so mad, but it was hilarious. And I told him the actual plan for the episode. Like I said, initially we were going to make the whole episode about just our randomness and then do like a really short review at the end. And he laughed so hard. I think
that would have been so bad because he was excited for it. And then just to get like nothing. Oh gosh.
But he's right. He said to me, he's like, he loves that movie because of the father-son dynamic, like that storyline, the theme. And I did say in that episode review that that's my favorite part of the movie too. And
well, like you can also get that from Avatar: Way of the Water. So.
No. Not as good as this. You're wrong there.
I mean, it ends with the same thing. Oh, my son died.
No. Way deeper in the Patriot. Way captured in a way better way, way more fleshed out way. You're right. Similar themes as Avatar 2, but not as well done in Avatar 2. Yeah. Maybe more visually spectacular in Avatar 2, but I would disagree with that too, because the Patriot looks really good. And it still holds up visually. So anyways, Josh just feels like you feel like you're in a history lesson when you watch that movie, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think that movie's good, because it captures that time really well.
I think that there's a time and a place for that, but
not that week.
No, not that week. I can't even remember what week that was, but I just was not feeling it.
So that's a bit of housekeeping. Shout out to Josh. Thanks for listening to this show.
I'm sorry, Josh. As a fellow Josh, I'm sorry.
Well, Josh,
I'm not changing my opinion, but
Josh, you have my cell number. Shoot me a text. Let us know what other. I know you recommended Midway. One day we will do that movie, but give us some other suggestions that you want us to cover, and we'll do our best to do that and to be entertaining in the process. He's actually
glad he thought it was funny.
He's actually looking forward to this episode to hear thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because he saw it and he was kind of mid on it. He didn't really love it. So, but we will get to that. Anyways,
Guardians of the
Josh, is there anything
Galaxy.
else you want to talk about or say before we get into the review? We're at
Oh
our
man, I
time
feel like I did,
to
but
shift.
I don't know. Yeah.
And like for my time, like my week or weeks, like I've been so busy too. So lots of good
It's just
stuff.
been busy.
Worked and yeah. I took
Summer
some
is
extended
gonna
time
be
off
busy
this week.
anyways.
I didn't really take a day off last week, I realized. So, and it was a long weekend and we had Enrich on Monday night and we had a good crew come out. Like it was
That's good.
it was our best attended night on a holiday. Usually we, like last holiday, we had no one.
Well, I
And
don't
that
know.
was when I was at winter camp. And this week
I
we
don't count
had about
stat as
13.
much.
Right. And
Stat
like
just
last time
doesn't
it
feel
was
like a
reading
holiday.
break and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but May Long's a pretty big holiday. Like it's,
I was
maybe not.
stuck at a training camp.
There you go. So anyways, so work's been going really well and I took some extended time with family off this week, and so I got to hang out with my family quite a bit, which was awesome. And they always
There's
keep us busy.
the father-daughter story we needed.
Right. Yeah. I didn't even tell a story.
I know.
I've been taking them on my bike. Like my other bike got stolen, so I got a new bike and we have a bike trailer, and so I put them in the bike trailer and we go to parks and stuff, and that's been fun. We went out for ice cream last weekend for that. And man, they are heavy in that trailer. Like pulling that thing is like, oh.
Do you like attach it to your van or you have
my bike.
Oh, you mean it's like a thing
like
you put your kids in and you
they sit in it. Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I was thinking you had like a trailer attached to your van to put your bikes on. What?
Yeah.
I was a little confused.
Type thing. No. Yeah. So we've been doing that every weekend and week. That's been fun. And man, I can't remember what we did the last 3 days. It just
Honestly,
goes by so fast.
It's felt like a blur.
It does feel like a blur, yeah.
Like I
took him to the splash park yesterday, and that was fun. So,
they're open.
Yeah. Poppy had her little pink hat on with her like heart sunglasses, and she looks like a diva, and just ready to go.
That.
So excited, yeah. So having a bunch of girls, and just for listeners, like I didn't expect to have girls. Because there's only really boys on my side, and we have 2 girls, and we're gonna have one more soon, like next year.
One more girl.
I don't know. Like we'll see. And like we're prone to have twins because that's Heidi's generation is the one. Like she's the one that needs to have twins. So you
could end up with 4,
right? So I told Heidi, I said, "What if we just have like 2 girls, like twins, and it's just a bunch of girls?" She's like, "Please, no twins." But we'll see. So yeah, so it's kind of fun when you like have a gender you didn't expect to have. It's just different.
You're on an adventure.
And then if we have a boy, it'll be like totally different, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, because I've seen a couple movies. They're not like top tier movies, because I didn't pick these movies. We watched Pitch Perfect 2, Mamma Mia 1, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which are all just, they're fine. Pitch Perfect is probably the worst of those 3. And then today I watched Princess and the Frog, Beauty and the Beast, and The Little Mermaid, which, by the way, I didn't realize how good The Princess and the Frog is.
Okay.
I love that movie. I had so much fun watching it. Yeah, I've had all these.
I watched it once, not the full thing. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did it scare you?
It was so long ago. I don't remember it, to be honest. Maybe that's indicative of how I feel about it, but yeah, I haven't been. So that's a lot of stuff. So you said Mamma Mia 2, you said?
Mamma Mia 1.
Oh.
And then Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which is the second one. And it has Lily James in it, and Lily James is like my celebrity crush.
And what else? And then after Princess of the Frog, what else did you watch?
Sleeping Beauty. No, not Sleeping Beauty. Why did I say that? Beauty and the Beast, like the old one.
You sent me that picture
And
today.
The Little Mermaid, which, hot take, I did not. Like, it was kind of boring.
Oh, you're wrong. Take it back.
And it might have been because I had been watching Disney movie all day.
Good.
But
it is so good. Some of the best music. Both those movies are excellent. And Beauty and the Beast is better, but both those movies have amazing music. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. Princess and the Frog was just so good.
I need to watch that one again. I have Disney Plus. I'll watch it. Maybe we can review it.
Do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Cool. Yeah, I haven't really watched. I want to watch a movie tonight after work. I'm going to watch Oblivion tonight because I haven't seen it, and people said it's good.
I haven't seen that.
Tom Cruise, like post-apocalyptic movie or a space movie, I think. Maybe I'll watch that. I've been rewatching. Obviously, this is the Succession segment because I've been watching that weekly. You know what's really fun is like
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, like every time an episode comes out, I rewatch the season.
Oh my goodness!
I don't watch, and I watch it on my phone. Like I watch it while I'm doing stuff. Or
you
whatever.
rewatch the show every week.
I try to, like the season. Yeah. I don't get through it all the time, but dude, I'm obsessed with the show. Like it's so
clearly. I have never watched a show and rewatched it every single time.
Well, I did that with The Last of Us. I did it with like the episode before. So like the episode would come out and then I would rewatch
I understand that. Yeah. But watching the whole season. Also, Party Shark needs new batteries.
Yeah. So Succession is okay. Here's the fun thing is I haven't, because as an adult, like streaming has come out and binge watching has come out, and I haven't really kept up with a TV show ever in my life except for like 24. So like, and we would watch that when I was in high school, and we would watch every week as a group, right? Like our youth group would do that. And I haven't really watched a TV show every week since. And like even with The Mandalorian, I didn't watch it every week. Wars? No, like Mandalorian, I wait a couple episodes in and then I binge it.
What about right? Kenobi or...
I just waited and I binged. I just waited and binged. So this is the first time really in a long time that I've like watched something weekly. This and The Last of Us. And both shows have really captivated me to do that. And now this show is ending, like the whole season, the whole series is ending. So it's kind of fun to watch a series finale. Like I've never done that before ever. Like at the same time everyone else is watching it. So it'll be fun. Yeah. And the show is just so good. It's really good acting, really good characters, really good writing. It's just season 4 is a bit shaky in the middle. But it doesn't have like episode 8 wasn't the greatest. Perfect. No, episode 8 wasn't the greatest. Episode I think 6 wasn't the greatest, but episode 9 was just amazing. And now episode 10. So it's so good. And the music's so good. It's just a really good show. I think I might like it better than Breaking Bad, which I used to say that's like the best show of all time.
I will watch Succession one day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you think about it. So, but yeah, it's really good. Anyways, let's do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We are reviewing.
It's going to be a long one. Let's go. Actually, the last one was a long one.
Won't be that long. Well, we'll see. We are reviewing, the last James Gunn Marvel movie and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians.
Hello, we come in peace.
Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
No! Ow!
Don't forget where we came from.
have been running our whole lives.
Pete, I'm done running. We'll all fly away together. One last time. Into the forever and beautiful sky.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
Let's go.
Okay, so this, like we said before, this is James Gunn's last movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's his last time touching Marvel. He's moved on to DC. He's become the head of the DCEU, the new extended universe for them. And so we'll get to that, or get to what if we're excited or not for that. But James Gunn directed this movie. He wrote this movie by himself as well. And he's done that with all three Guardians movies. He's written, I think the only help he's had for writing was the first one. But the last two, it's only been him that's been credited as the writer. So he's got
to rewatch the second one.
He's got full creative control over Guardians, right? And he's been a part of... He's actually helped Kevin Feige, especially in the phase before Endgame and like those phases. He was actually a consultant on the MCU. And so he helped dabble in creating the different storylines in the other movies. And then they kind of kicked him out of the writer's room during phase 4 and 5. And it shows up in this movie. His cheekiness about that shows up in this movie a little bit, which I find interesting. So, but yeah, this is got all the original cast: Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, some new people like Nathan Fillion is in this, which is a cool callback to sci-fi.
Is that the Maze Runner guy? Who's the Maze Runner guy?
Oh, I don't know. That's in this movie?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Nathan Fillion was in Firefly.
Oh, Will Poulter, Adam Warlock.
He plays Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nathan Fillion plays the head guard for the organic Orgo Corp place. Yeah, he's so good. So he was in Serenity and Firefly. Yeah. He's in some video games. Like he was in Halo and yeah.
Okay, yeah, no. When I saw him, I'm like, I reckon he was in Castle.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, was he in Uncharted?
No. Yeah, I think actually he was. You're right.
He almost looks like Nathan Drake a bit.
Well, Nathan Fillion is in a bunch of Uncharted fan movies that were like fan trailers that were put together.
He's in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
Suicide Squad.
Yes. So
Modern Family.
He's a bit of a callback Easter egg actor because he was in a hit sci-fi show called Firefly, and it got canceled. Got canceled after one season.
Ooh.
And then they made and that was the studio that canned it because of viewership, and people revolted, and it became this cult show. And it's a great show. And then they made a sequel to that season in a movie called Serenity, which is awesome. So that was like his. Ever since then, he's kind of like a cult favorite actor.
Claim to fame.
Yeah, and then he's been in a bunch of stuff outside of sci-fi, but so him and James Gunn have a really good relationship. So he's in a lot of. I think he might be in every James Gunn movie. Yeah,
he was funny in this movie.
Yeah. Okay, Josh, let's get to it. What are your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And by the way, we are burned out. I can speak for you. Listen to our Ant-Man review. We are burned out of this phase. This phase
Listen
sucks.
to any of the past Marvel reviews.
And Kang now got canceled. That actor's fired, and they have to find a new Kang.
The Counselor.
Like phase 5 is a total. It's gone. Like I'm not excited for any of it anymore. That's like the context for how we're feeling on Marvel.
Yeah.
So Josh, what did you think of this movie?
Oh man, this movie was a ride. One, it was really funny. I mean, it's a James Gunn movie, so I really enjoyed this movie. It was super emotional, and like, I don't know, this is the best Marvel movie I've seen in so long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to say. It was funny, emotional, and just good altogether. It didn't feel like I was watching a Marvel movie, to be honest, but it was also Marvel because, and then there was like the F-bomb. And I'm like, whoa, this is like so far from Marvel, but that was also like something you would see in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy has always kind of been that edgy, more edgy series.
Like how far can we push MCU before we get in trouble type attitude.
Yeah. And I know it was so fun to watch, and it was a roller coaster. I don't even know what else to say. But
well, we're gonna break it down. I got categories thought out, and because this movie deserves a good review. Because man, okay, so I wasn't really excited for this movie. I didn't really see any reviews. I kept quiet on everything, and I knew we had to review it, and I just didn't have time to get to it the opening weekend. And I know you texted me, you're like, Jordan, have you seen this movie? And I saw it last week, and I didn't even have like super low expectations going in. I just didn't care. Like I would
agree. I had like, I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, I'll go see it because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. But other than that, I'm like,
well, not even Guardians of the Galaxy. I love James Gunn. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
And so I know I was actually kind of worried about seeing this movie because I just didn't want it to be bad because I love James Gunn. And I'm kind of nervous for his DCEU. By the way, I'm no longer nervous. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for The Flash. I'm so excited for his Superman movie.
Is he directing The Flash?
No, he wrote some of it. Like he was a consultant, but he's writing and directing the Spider-Man or the Superman movie. Sorry.
Right.
And he texted in his announcement, he put a picture up of All-Star Superman, which is one of my favorite Superman comics. And after watching this movie, man, this movie is incredible. Like and it's not even recency bias. I cannot wait to see this movie again. This movie just blew me away. I couldn't believe how good this movie was. Like I was sitting in the theater and I was like, even from the opening shot, and I knew this movie was about Rocket. Like I knew he was like a main arc in the movie, but even with the opening shot where it's just zoning in on those little rockets or the little raccoons and you see all the cages and
it is
like it's such a this movie is just like it's just okay. So James Gunn goes on record. I have the quote here. He said that when he was being interviewed, someone asked him, do you think everyone's tired of superhero films? Like, is there superhero fatigue because of all the Marvel property coming out and the Disney Plus stuff and the DC stuff? And he said, no, it's not the superhero or superhero genre's fault that there isn't good stories anymore within the genre. He said, people are interested in superhero movies when there's a good story to tell. And when you treat the characters properly and that is like his thesis for this movie. Like it tells it's just a focused story about a character we care about that we didn't even know we cared about until this movie in that way.
I've always loved Rocket.
And now you get his backstory, you get his the whole gang is like trying to save him. That like it's so emotional and it's
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh, yeah.
And there's no Phase 5 crap in this movie at all.
I also, the whole time, like a lot of times with Marvel, I'm like, oh, well, people are safe. The whole time I was like, there's a legitimate chance that Rocket dies.
Yes. The stakes were super high in this movie.
And like even with Peter Quill
Yeah.
later on, I was like, he could actually be dead. Like,
Yeah.
and so.
And that moment was amazing, by the way, where, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That moment where so by the way, we spoil stuff when we review stuff, so we're about to spoil a whole lot. So now you know our thoughts.
Oh yeah, whoops.
Go watch it. But yeah, that moment where he was stuck in space and like
got super bloated.
compare that moment, and I do like The Last Jedi still, but compare that moment to when you thought Leia was gonna die.
Yeah.
And how both moments feel similar, but then like the Guardians moment is way superior with how he's saved, right? With Warlock finally redeeming himself, and like,
that's the
so
one
good.
thing I was like, Adam Warlock is gonna come back. Like he's gonna learn that he's not fighting for the good guys, and he's gonna end up doing something good. And it was getting nearer to the end. I'm like, is he gonna do this? And then he does. And I'm like, there we go. Which, by the way, I loved Adam Warlock.
It was such an amazing emotional payoff too. It was so good. Like it was. Oh, this movie. So this movie makes me sad because it reminds me of what Marvel used to be. It reminds me of the MCU that was before Endgame, and even with Infinity War and Endgame, right? And it just is a stark reminder of how lost this current state of MCU. It's lost. Like it's totally heartless. It doesn't have, like, you can tell James Gunn loves the property he's writing for in this movie.
Yeah.
Like every word that's uttered, every moment is, even in its chaos, like he's so good at filming the chaos and the banter and controlling it. And even the action sequence at the end where they're fighting in the tunnel, like you just know what's going on. The action set piece is really clear and the payoff is just amazing. Like you're ready for them to kick butt when they enter and they're walking slow-mo in that superhero shot and they're ready to fight. And it's awesome. Like it's just like compare that to Thor: Love and Thunder when all the kids all of a sudden got Thor's powers, and it's like there is not even a comparison. Like not even
no.
Like one feels like a Saturday morning cartoon that was shot in 5 seconds, and one feels like a film. Like this movie felt like a film.
It doesn't feel like the MCU, and
no.
Yeah, it's just I was shocked by this movie because again, I didn't expect to like it nearly as much as I did. But yeah, I don't know. It felt it. I have one
critique,
but I'll get to that later.
So yeah, let's break it down a bit. Like, so the main arc is about Rocket, right? Did you like the story? Did you like the bad guy? Did you like
the bad guy? Well, I don't know. I didn't really care for him because he just felt like every other bad guy in a way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like he felt like the last one in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and like I don't know, he wasn't memorable. I didn't care for him really. Okay. But no, I love that Rocket's story was the main focus because I mean I never really thought about why. Like the MCU has made me just be like, okay, yeah, there's a talking raccoon. I've never really, and I haven't thought since where I'm like, oh wait, why is he a talking raccoon? What is his backstory? And so it's just kind of cool to see that. And I mean, it would be so cool to see everyone else's backstory, but I mean, we can't. Well, I guess we've seen most of them, but
right. And do we care? Like the thing about, like we've heard in Guardians 2, I believe, where someone asks him about his backstory and he just like gets really mad. There is a moment where they address it. And so I felt like it was really smart to use that as the main backdrop of this movie. And I thought he was just going to be a moment. Like I didn't think the whole movie was going to be about him. And so I would disagree with the bad guy. I thought the bad guy I think he's the best bad guy in the Guardians trilogy. Maybe I do have to go back and watch them. Yeah.
The thing is, the bad guys in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, they're all kind of just, besides Ronan, I just kind of forget about them. And
but
I
like
think
his
I only
arc
remember
was good.
Ronan.
Like
I
his
think I
one,
only remember Ronan because of that dance off.
right. But like his motivation was really good. His like it was all I thought it was clear. Like
And yeah, and
well
I'm not
done.
saying he's a bad villain. He's just
Right.
not memorable. Like I'm not gonna think about when I think about this movie in the future. I'm not gonna think about the villain.
Oh man, I
Like
don't
that's
know.
not something that stands out to me.
Like I don't remember his
Like,
name, but like the whole
oh
second
yeah,
Earth
what
thing.
is his name?
I don't know. Like, but the whole perfect Earth thing was pretty compelling with all those
I mean, but
creatures and
that's almost the same thing as like Thanos, where he's like, "Well, I just want a perfect world."
yeah, but this guy was like way farther along than Thanos was technically in doing it, and in such a more. I thought the way he was achieving it was more maniacal. Like,
I liked the idea and it's not really the villain or the bad guys. Like it is his doing, but I like the thought that he created this whole world and then they go onto it and it's just like the exact same and there's still like I like that
issues.
idea
Yeah, it was
where
good.
like
Yeah,
he was always going after perfection, but like with humans it's just you'll never get there.
with human
No matter
nature
what.
will always take over.
Human
Yeah.
nature, whatever you make,
Yes.
like it's always gonna be corrupt. But other than that, like I like the idea of that, but the villain alone, like I don't care for. Like do you know what I mean? Well, I hated him, but I'm like,
there you go.
I'm not saying, but I hate most villains.
But this one
And
was
so I'm
like
saying,
he's
like-
like experimenting on animals and like
Yeah, and like I absolutely hated his guts, but I'm like, again, I'm not gonna think about him.
So I think the movie I think with you even the movie achieved what it was like. It did a good job of making a good villain. Like you don't have to necessarily remember everything about him, but that
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's a bad villain.
like
I
you
just don't
understood the ideas and you hated him,
Yeah.
and the movie did a good job at that. Is what that's
And
what I
like
mean
so
by
I
a good
think
villain. Yeah,
what I think more is just like him as a character, whatever, but the concept of the villain is what I like.
right.
So his character, whatever, like he didn't look iconic or stand out in any way.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that.
Why he
Like his
a face
skin
slap
face
to him?
is
Yeah,
like
I don't know. I just
Rocket's like scratching, and that
Yeah,
one
and-
was awesome. Like it was
but I don't know
gory.
this well, and that's not his character. That's what Rocket's doing to his character. It would look the exact same if he did that to a different
Right,
human.
but the way
And
he
so-
looked with his because
'Cause,
like, I
like-
remember thinking when his face was pulled over. Sorry, when his face was pulled over, like because you see that before you learn about what happened
Yeah.
to him. Like I was wondering, like why is his face like that? Like I just assumed
and
maybe it was a
I
costume.
wonder that
and-
too, but I'm
yeah.
like, whatever. It's just these people look strange. So,
That's fair.
but like when I compare it to the look of Kane to him, Kane is more memorable looking than this guy. And so
Ooh, I don't know. I thought this guy was way more
I don't know.
maniacal than Kane.
I feel like no, I'm saying in looks wise,
Oh,
design wise.
just plain looks.
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't his villain. Like what he did.
Right.
I'm saying looks. Like he
Right.
just had his face slapped on and
Right.
it looked stretched, and I'm like, okay. I mean, at first I thought I'm like, well, he just got robotics added,
Right.
and so they stretched the face onto it
To extend his
Other
age
than
or
that-
whatever. Yeah.
Other than that, I'm like, well, whatever. But like, Kane looks like a better villain with like his glowing tears
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
Like
yeah.
in his suit, like he looks a lot cooler. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I liked how the villain was hateable and like how
Like
there
you
was.
thought the villain was
it
well
made
done
sense.
enough.
Yeah, but like he wasn't something that stood out. Where I'm like,
Mm.
oh yeah, that right there is the best part of the movie. The
No,
part
like,
that stood out to me.
even compared to Kane and Ant-Man 3, like I thought the thing with Kane, the reason why like he was the best part of the movie, but when he got nerfed at the end, like I felt like the demise of this villain, the High Evolutionary is his name, I did feel like everything was earned compared to Kane. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah, and
understood his motivation. I understood
I
he was
get that.
going off the rails. Like he was getting crazier with his ambition.
And like it was great. I think my complaint is that these movies still just, and maybe it's just a Marvel thing in general, but the
Right.
villains just don't look menacing, and
Okay.
like their design is just boring. Like Doctor Doom looks great; he's menacing, like, and
Well,
that,
that's a
and like they're
Marvel.
kind
That
of
is a
going,
Marvel thing. It's a
and yeah,
Marvel
I know
issue.
that,
Yeah,
but
because Marvel's
um,
never been known for their villains. Only Spider-Man has been known for the villains, right? So
yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
It's like I don't know where I'm going with this, but
I just thought the villain was well done. Like he was mean. His motivations were good.
yeah.
There was a moment where, and you touched on it, where his plan just always has cracks in it because of human nature. That was a good
Mm-hmm.
aspect, and he's just so crazy that he wants to do it again. Um, like I was all in on all that stuff. Like it was way better than Kane in Ant-Man 3. Way better. Like
Yeah,
it just in
yeah.
that regard.
But I
Yeah.
prefer Kane's design. Like I
Yes.
prefer
And
this
you're
villain.
right
Like
about
if
that.
this villain was with Kane's design, amazing.
Yes. And
I
John
just think that
Majors did a good job with Kane. Like he was,
yeah,
yeah.
rip.
Yeah, rip. Sad day for Marvel
Yeah.
fans. This movie, yeah. So, and did you like yeah, like this movie has tons of animals in it. Which All the
Yeah.
Gardens
Oh,
does,
okay.
but this movie has tons.
It
Yeah.
actually, I did hate when the animals were being tested on. It was the same thing with the
Yeah, it was sad.
second Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Well, this one was it was sad. Like this one was
Yeah,
like
no, and
the rabbit's got
that
its like
plays
metal
into
mouth thing, and yeah.
yeah, and that plays into what I liked about this movie,
Mhm.
not the abused animals, but the emotional aspect of this film was like, wow. Because I'm
So
in a
good.
place where I'm like, I just want emotional, I just want something to happen that like
You want
pulls
to
at my
care.
heartstrings.
Yeah.
I want to care. That's the thing. I want to care, and Marvel has not been, Marvel has not been doing that for me.
No.
And so just to like feel something, and not just like in one scene, but like throughout this film, it felt so good to feel sad, which is so
Well,
backwards, but
it's just a journey. It's up and down. Like it's happy. It's like the moments where they
and
bond as
it like
friends
and
in the cages. Like that moment is
yeah.
just so. Like I bought every moment of it. Like I just,
And
it's
you know
you're
what's
along
something
with the ride.
interesting
Yeah.
about this movie is that it's almost personified in the
Mhm.
way where it got right how humans feel, where like in life there's the ups and downs, and I don't know if they went this deep into the thought of it, but I'm like, this movie had those parts where you're like happy and you're laughing, and then you're sad and you're lonely or whatever, and
Mhm.
it really just captured how humans feel. And that's something James Gunn has always been good at, is just understanding the audience and
Mhm.
their feelings. And I think this is a big part of why Marvel is just losing their momentum, is that they don't understand the audience. They don't understand humans. They're just like, oh, well, we're just going to get these out. We're going to have, this is going to be fun to look at. It's going to be fun. But it's like, no, we're sick of that. I just want something to feel. And 2020, as much as no one wants to talk about it, has made humanity realize that it's okay to feel. And I feel like people coming out of that want to feel more and want movies to express their feelings sometimes. And
Right.
this movie did that. It was allowing you to just cope with things, with the fact that there's loss and happiness. And I think it's really beautiful in that way. And again, I could be completely pulling strings,
No,
but like this is just how
yeah.
I like interpret it. People want emotion, and Marvel has not been giving that.
Well, it's not just
No
emotion.
one like,
It's you're right. You're right.
and
People
just
want a good
care. Like people want
story.
to care.
Yes. Like, and as someone who wants to write a novel, and I'm trying to write one, and one thing I've always said about any type of story is, in order to have a good story, it's on about having a good plot. Like you can come up with a plot all day, right? And your plot changes depending on your writing process and what happens with your characters. The thing that makes an amazing, memorable story are good characters. You know, realistic characters, realistic relationships, and you can have characters like this movie has an up dog in it that was the first dog in space.
What's up, dog?
The Soviet dog, and she's one of the best characters in the movie. And it's a
yeah,
CGI
and I
dog.
Honestly, I expected not to like the dog, but
and it was
I love
awesome.
that dog.
And like the whole thing CGI, and we care about it because her character is so innocent and like a dog would be. And
and it's just.
It's
by
just,
the way, when I say
it, right, and it's a good story. It's like this movie tells. Sorry, Josh, but this movie tells a good story. Like it does. It's not trying to. I mean, it preaches at you within the story. The story isn't all about the preaching. And that's what good art and good stories are. They care about their characters first. They care about what happens to the characters, which is the plot first, and then when all those themes and ideas come out of that instead of the other way around, instead of saying we got to make a movie about this ideology, that's why I don't that's why I don't love a lot of Christian movies, because they feel so fake, because it's like we have to generate the story around this idea, right? Whereas this movie is a good movie because how do we send these characters off? How do we send James Gunn off? How do we do the last good Marvel movie and tell a really good story with these characters? And the story is so focused in this movie. I could not believe how small this movie felt in all the good ways, in all the right ways, right? Like, it's just so tight and it's so focused, and it doesn't even care about any of the other Marvel phase stuff. It just wants to tell its own story about friendship, community, and going through life not isolated, but caring for your friends, caring for your families. Like that's the theme of the movie. And
family.
And you nailed it with how you cared for the first time watching Marvel since Endgame. Because I would say, like, this movie's even better than Spider-Man 3, and I liked it, but that movie's emotion still felt like a rug pull in some ways, because they were bringing back all these old characters, which I like that part of the movie, but it is, compared to this, it feels weaker and less original, because this feels like it's all self-generated instead of saying, oh, I grew up with this character and this is why I'm emotional right now, right? Those are rants.
I have a couple of things. First of all, I want to say I didn't think I would dislike the dog because it's a dog. I thought it was just going to be cringy, but I ended up liking the dog and it was cute. Other things I was going to say, I liked your point on like having the movie before the preaching. And I think a good movie when someone's trying to get their ideas or ideals and opinions across in a movie, I think the standard should be that, and I know this isn't like it's not gonna happen, but I think the movie will do well if someone can go that whole movie without realizing that there's a political part to it, and that it should stand out
or even a theme. It's not even about politics.
And so and I like that thing you said, and then the other thing is, I think the problem, and I know this is like the 8th episode where we're like, what's the problem with the MCU? And I honestly just think that, and it's not the MCU, it's just movies in general, is people are too afraid to try something new.
Yes.
And I've probably made this point, but James Gunn has been like, I don't care. Like, I'm doing what I want, and it's going to be my way or I'm not doing it. And I like that idea, because I'm like, people are too afraid to do things because they're like, oh, well, there's going to be all these people mad. But I'm like, who cares? Like, just make the movie the way you want it and go from there. And it all comes down because it's become a business, and it's always been a business, but now it's more business focused, where it's like, we need to make all this money. And as the MCU slowly like dies off, they're going to just double down and be like, well, now it's dying, so we need to make sure to add all these things to make people buy it so we can get our last bit of money before we can't make any at all. And so it all comes like James Gunn legitimately feels like he's not like he's in it for the craft, he's in it for the story, and like
Yes.
yeah, he'll get paid,
That's
but
why
he's
his
like
movies are good. And they're well
and
received, by the way.
and I'm pretty sure he's like full on said like he won't do things if there's certain things that can't be met. And so
Right.
like he's not just going to do whatever. Like he'll do things he cares about and put his heart into it, and that's something I really enjoy about James Gunn.
Well, he wasn't going to do MCU. And
yeah,
then
like
he said the only way I'm going to do MCU is if I get Guardians, and because that's been his favorite comic property, and he wanted creative control over it, and they did it for him, right? And so that's why you have this little trilogy, not little, but this trilogy, this pocket trilogy in the middle of all this stuff, and it's added to the MCU. Now it is the only good thing in the MCU because the MCU is no longer good. Because it's kind of
now
lost
we're
its
probably
way.
gonna have to go to the DC.
So, and James Gunn even takes shots at the MCU in this movie. Like there's the sequence where they take that girl hostage in OrgoCorp, right? And they're going up the elevator, and they're going down the elevator. Like they got the file they needed, and then Quill is like complaining about how because he's trying to win over Gamora in this movie because it's like new Gamora, right? So she no longer loves him, and it's actually quite sad. Like it is sad.
Yeah.
And he's trying to win her back, and because he misses her, right? And it's really emotional. And then in this elevator scene, he explains the whole situation. Like he's just like, yeah. And then she like fell off this magic hill and came back not herself, and James Gunn is totally taking shots at the writers of the cinematic because he has complained about that before, where they totally ruined the love relationship between them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they went around his back for that. And so he's like even taking pot shots at the MCU in this movie because of the continuity errors, right? And so it's just this is such a James Gunn movie, and dude, it's got like 92% audience rating. Like people love it. It's got 82 or 94%, 82% critics review on Rotten Tomatoes. Like people, this is a well-received movie, and people want stories first. That's why we read books. That's why I play video games. That's why I watch movies. And I don't mind if something has. I actually like movies that have like different ideologies than I do. I like movies that push, that challenge me. I like watching that stuff. And I think it actually gives me different perspectives. And I don't mind hearing, like Succession hates conservative people. And I love that show. It's an amazing show. And like,
oh, we've heard it, Jordan.
Yes. And like, I just love it. And I don't agree with everything in it, of course, but art should challenge us. It should push us. Like you should be able to, like you pulled themes out of Guardians and I pulled different themes out of Guardians. And that's what good art is, right? Like Guardians is about loss. It is about the end of things. It is about even when Drax like wants to stop and he wants to be a father again with all those children, like, and that whole, and he knows the language and it's awesome.
It's
like
so wholesome.
Like knowing when to quit, like knowing when to move on, right? That's as an older person, someone in my life where I think I'm transitioning in my professional life within the next 6 years or 5 years or 4 years even. My wife and I are in the middle of that. Like that movie hit me in a different way than it would hit you, right? And so, and as you grow older, you should be able to watch stories and you should be able to get different things out of them depending on what season you're in. That's a good story.
Yeah.
So, and this movie did that. Like it just, I couldn't believe how good it was. And the moment where he's about to die and he meets his friend and then she's like, in that line, Josh, where she's like, it's not your time. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it's so good.
She was like, you can come with us. And we're like, oh, well, he's done. And then it's like a pause and she's like, but it's not your time.
What a great reveal. What a great way of showing he's going to live. And it like amazing dramatic irony, right? Like you as the audience know that he's going to live before Peter Quill does, right? And Peter Quill is screaming. He's like, come on. He's yelling and he's sad and it's emotional and it's raw. And that whole sequence was just amazing filmmaking, and storytelling. And I could not believe what I was watching. That's why I couldn't believe it. Like this is absent since Endgame, because Endgame was really good. It wasn't even in the Spider-Man trilogy, and I like the Spider-Man trilogy. But I don't know. I think we're saying the same things. And I think I wanted to build off what you said there too, Josh, with just that idea of, you said there's ups and downs in this movie, just like life, right? And I love the humor. Like I thought the humor was great.
Yeah, no, it was, I love the
genuine
whole, like, call me a good dog.
Oh, I love,
like, come on.
Running joke was, and she's at the poker, the dog's at the poker scene, or like playing cards, and the guy's like, just give it up already.
And the guys are like, come on, just tell her, like, just like leave. It's, I don't know. And I love that it wasn't just a run on and then it ended. Like, it actually
was an arc,
came to a close.
Yes.
And like, that's a lot of the things like everything came to a close at the end, and that's just what was great. And I think we should also just like delve into some of the character arcs, because I think there was a lot of just really good character development in this, or just like good things in it. Like with Peter, I thought it was so funny that at the beginning he got super drunk, and then he's like, oh, after Rocket was taken, he's like, oh, it's my fault. Or like after he was almost killed, he was like, oh, it's my fault. He's like, I shouldn't have been like being depressed or whatever. I'm butchering this, but I shouldn't have been like moping about because of Gamora. And then he spends the whole rest of the movie still being distracted by Gamora,
right?
And all that. And I think it's just, and in the end, he eventually just comes to a place where like he's just like he's okay with it. And I think that arc is so cool, and I think it's so cool to see that, especially after something like the worst thing that could happen from his actions happened, and he continues to go on and be distracted by Gamora and like mope about it. And I think that's just like, it just really makes him, it just shows how human he is, because that's the human thing to do. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then you like, you feel really guilty about it and this and that. And then you just go back to being human. And it's just, and you like continue doing that. It's just this cycle. It's almost like insanity is doing the same thing over and over.
That tension, I couldn't imagine. Like, I love my wife,
And
I've been with her for, this year will be 13 years married, and we've been together for 14 and a half years this year, like dating. And it's like, and knowing each other. So it's like, it's a long time. And I couldn't imagine losing her and then having her back
without any of the love.
Well, like, to be honest, when I have bad dreams, because whenever you get married or in love with someone, you always have bad dreams about the other person. For Heidi, her bad dreams about me are like inviting all these people into the house and like getting the house trashed, or like sometimes she has dreams where I'm like buying a bunch of stuff and like ordering stuff on Amazon and spending all her money, right? And like, and she's like, stop spending money. And like, that's her out of control dreams. And I have dreams where we go to parties or events and she talks to everyone except for me and ignores me, right? So like your brain plays tricks on you when you sleep.
Those are so adult.
Right. And so it's like, and you just,
I thought you were going to say like, I have dreams where she gets like taken out by a giant octopus and then I'm sad, but then you're like, no, she goes and talks to everyone.
So like
me.
my dreams are like her ignoring me and like not actually loving me. And then in that, like just talking to everyone else and being cool and like totally ignoring me. And then her bad dreams are me like off the rails, like spending our money and all that stuff. So like your brain plays tricks on you. And I couldn't imagine, like I totally bought that whole tension, right? Like that's super sad. And like they handled it really well. and him,
Yeah, no.
like I couldn't get over it. Like I would keep
Yeah, no,
trying because I love my
yeah.
wife. Like I would,
It was so good. They did.
and like
Peter
even
was such a good
Gamora's,
character in this.
and even Gamora's response to him, where she started at first, she just hated it. And like it was funny when you found out that Nebula called Gamora and Peter's like freaking
Yeah.
out and she's like, oh no, right? And so it was funny and then it was sad. And then you even saw Gamora like start to understand what Peter was going through and empathize, even though she wasn't in love with him.
And
And
you know
she
what?
just, yeah,
It's cool because it's retrospectively the same story as the first movie.
it is.
Where
It is. Yeah.
he loves her, she does not love him. And it ends pretty much the same way.
Yes.
Where they're like,
yeah.
oh, it's like, oh, okay. It might be a.
And this one's more final.
Yeah.
Because you know it's not going to happen, probably,
Although,
right? But Marvel MCU is stupid now.
It did say at the end that Star-Lord will return. So,
yeah. Well, and I love the ending where he goes back to his home and sees his dad, and
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 that was emotional too.
That almost having that loss of Rocket like taught him to not take your relationships for granted. Like, don't, and like he's done so much because of that situation, like losing his mom and stuff, and just having one of the extra credit scenes being him and his dad just like arguing, or like it's so funny, like it's so good, it's so normal, like that's life, right? And you love the person, but there are times where you don't get along, and I didn't feel like it was tacked on at all. I listened to one review where they thought it felt tacked on, and I just thought it was a great way to send Peter off. Now they're going to bring him back, which I didn't like that title card, but that was some other characters like you. I don't think there was any wasted characters. Like everyone felt pretty good.
There wasn't, and like even like the side characters had their moments, and like their
did you like the Drax stuff?
I mean Drax was very similar to him usually, but just him realizing what he really loves and coming back to that.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
him being a father, and that was so wholesome.
It was really good. Yeah. And by the way, Poppy has made up her own language a little bit, and her word for drink is jupe. So the kids are saying jupe, jupe, jupe. I was like, oh my goodness, this is just like Poppy.
That's so funny.
And then Drax knew what they were saying the whole time. Like that was awesome. That was so funny.
Yeah, and it was funny because they're like, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, well, you never asked.
Oh, what an idiot. So good.
Also, I find it funny that now, like the title in the credits, people were always like, yeah, let's go.
Right.
Woo. And now it's like, oh, no. And it's just funny how it's completely changed in that way where you're like, come on, just let things go.
And this movie is that, right? It's letting things go, and like this is it. Like James Gunn is done, and there was less sending off than I thought there would be, to be honest. Like I thought there'd be a bit more send off stuff.
I mean, and it all worked. Like Mantis went on. Where did
her own
Mantis
journey?
Went on her own.
Yeah,
and Quill did, and Gamora went back to her people.
Rocka became the leader of the Guardians, which I loved.
It all awesome. Just like ended really well.
Yeah,
and like there's like.
Well, I even loved it when they
this.
I even loved it when they called. I can't remember his name. It's James Gunn's brother. I can't remember his character name.
Oh yeah.
But when they called the whole planet to come in and help them fight, that again, that theme of like friendship and having each other's back, and even with Gamora's tribe, like the Ravengers, right, coming in, and that was really good, and I like that I like that they didn't get together, her and Peter. Like I like that she went off and just continued doing her own thing, right? And because it made sense.
And he did too. It was just like one of those things. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you need to make the send off so intense," or I feel like directors feel that way, or like super emotional. But it just ended off with like, yeah, they went their own ways, and that's something that happens in life.
Yes,
you graduate, you all go your own ways. Like,
And you think the moment's going to be bigger after, or you think but it's just not. Like, that's just life,
And that's just
right?
normal.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's like you quit it, like you're done at one job, going to another one, you go
Right.
your own ways. That's just life. You graduate from university, you go into your own ways. It's how it goes.
And
And
even with the Guardians having the new assignment, right, at the end, like they move
yeah,
on to the new assignment, right, and keep
yeah, it's just things go
guarding.
on.
Yeah,
Life goes on for everyone. And I can't think of a better way to end than that.
and yeah, like
Because I mean, yeah.
even the little arcs in this movie were just so thought out and cared for.
Mhm.
Even with like the tension between the dog and her master, right, and
Yeah,
she
and then, like,
showed him up, and
Yondu, the
yeah.
guy with Yondu's whistle and, like, him learning that.
Yes. I can't remember his name. Sean Gunn's brother. But and then
Yeah.
remember he saw Yondu, right? He
Yeah.
saw him
Which
for that
Yondu, I
brief.
love Yondu.
Yeah, and his send off in 2 was amazing, right? So
Mhm.
just having that moment where it's like, oh, like, I mean, I've had many moments like that about my dad, right? And
Mhm.
so it's really cool just to have just those little visual moments. Like, that's filmmaking 101. And then the character wipe across the screen and he's gone. Like, it's just little touches like that
Yeah.
made this movie really special. And I expected a good movie. Like, I just didn't think it was gonna be this good. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't. Now, is there anything, Josh, like, I mean, do you have anything else you want to say about characters, or?
Well, I mean, Adam Warlock was fun.
Yes.
Because he
And
was
their
not
son.
bright.
Yeah.
And, I feel like James Gunn always has a character like that, where they're just oblivious.
Right. And this guy's like super
But
powerful and oblivious. Yeah.
yeah, I love that because, like, people are like, "Oh, how do you nerf the really overpowered people?" But it's like, just make them, like, dull or
Right.
not smart. Because, like,
Well, I think James
like,
is
he's
making a
really
comment there
powerful,
too.
but yeah, and that's cool because it's like, well, he's super powerful, like, he could defeat anyone, but, like, he's just not smart, so he doesn't
Right.
use his powers like that, and so I think that's just interesting, and I don't know, I loved Adam Warlock in this movie
But
and his whole arc.
there's some humanity there, because remember he fries
Yeah,
that guy that captured, and then his pet is like so sad, but then he keeps
yeah,
his pet, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's and, like, yeah, it's and when his mom passed away, I was like, "Oh, I actually feel bad for him because he's
yeah.
almost like he's dumb, but the dumb characters, you're like, "Oh, I feel bad." Like, he doesn't deserve that. He doesn't
But
deserve any.
his idiocy is not his fault too. Like,
Yeah.
they did a good job of
Uh,
capturing that. Yeah.
like, and at the beginning, he's built up to be this, like, super strong person,
Yeah.
and then he's like then you quickly figure out, you're like, "Yeah, no, he's
Well,
not very
but he is
smart."
super strong, but he's almost
He
like a
is,
lackey,
but he's
right?
not
Like,
smart, and
no,
so,
I
like,
think, yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but he's like, he was getting hurt, and he's like, "Ouch, ouch,
Yes.
ouch."
Yes. And he's like confused to why he's getting hurt. Like, he's like,
Ouch.
never felt it before. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was really good.
so,
Yeah.
I don't know, other than that, like, I can't really think of
Well, yeah, Warlock was
the
really well done.
characters.
And he was hyped up in Guardians 2 in the extra credit scene, right? So
Was he?
with all the gold, and everyone's like, "Whoa," right? And it was kind of
Oh.
again, this is where James Gunn does a better job than Rian Johnson with The Last Jedi with subverting expectations, right? Like, where Luke
Mhm,
Skywalker threw the lightsaber behind him, and I still don't like that part, right? But Adam Warlock
mhm.
is really powerful, but he doesn't know how to wield it. He just is a lackey, and he
Yeah,
grows in this movie where he like learns to use it for good, and I think that the reason I'm excited for James Gunn's Superman is because of Warlock in
because
this movie.
yeah.
Yeah, and the way he
Yeah, and
treated him,
I
and
was gonna say that
yeah,
earlier. I'm like, you can only wonder, like, how will he do Superman? And so, because
and this guy clearly
I don't
understands the
like
characters.
Superman. I don't really like Superman because he's overpowered. And
And this is what I say to everyone, because everyone that I know I don't know anyone except for one other person in my life. He lives in BC. Um, I have like you probably haven't read a comic about Superman, have you? Like
Yeah,
any of
no,
his stories.
no.
So people that say that there are excellent stories that dive into that aspect of Superman in so many good ways. And I think Zack Snyder was very close. A lot of people didn't like his rendition of Superman because they did change some fundamental aspects of him, but he tried to bring out humanity in him and a conflict there. Like the comic book All-Star Superman does such a good job of capturing the philosophy behind the character, and Superman is my favorite superhero. Like he is my favorite. I grew up loving Superman. I just love Superman, and I love the stories about him, and there are some amazing comics about him. So I'm excited because James Gunn clearly understands the characters he's writing.
Yeah.
He clearly
And
understands the characters in Guardians.
I think he can make a comeback to DC. And my one thing that I'm a little afraid of is just based off of what I've seen from James Gunn is I feel like there's kind of, you see similarities in them.
Well, you can tell he's written it. Like you know,
Yeah,
he's got
I'm
his own
almost getting
tropes.
to the point where I'm like, I hope that it's not just like the same movie, just painted differently over and over again.
Right.
Because I'm like, this movie, I saw so many similarities with Suicide Squad, and my only worry is that the movies are going to continue just being like that. And
Right.
I don't know, like it's so hard to please humans, and
Well,
I'm a good example of that.
well,
Where it's like, oh well, we
Guardians,
want this, but then you're just like, no, we don't want this. This is too much, and so
right.
I don't know, I'm just worried that James Gunn will only have this one note, and
Well,
like
okay.
it's good,
I'm
but
pulling up his filmography
how long
here.
will it last?
I'm just gonna pull up his filmography. Now the thing with Guardians and Suicide Squad, they're both very silly properties. Like even in their comic origins, like they're both kind of spin-offs and they're both like kind of crazy ideas.
So yeah, I'm kind of interested in how he'll do serious. Because like, how would he do a Batman? How would he take on Batman or Superman and that? So
like he's done Slither, which Nathan Fillion is in.
I have no idea what that is.
That's a decent movie. It's pretty good. It's like a horror movie. He hasn't actually done a lot. I thought he's done more than that. Huh.
I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of worried about that.
Well, you're right, Josh. Like he hasn't actually done a lot. I'm surprised.
And so I'm like, will it just be the same thing over and over again? Just
right. Well, here's the thing with Superman.
With a new coat.
And you're right. With Superman, you can't, like, here's the thing about DC, right? You cannot, like, it fits with Suicide Squad because Suicide Squad is such a crazy idea. And his Suicide Squad movie was awesome. Like, it captured the comics
that was a
really
great
well.
movie.
I do think that movie was a bit more serious than Guardians. Like, it did have, I would say Guardians 3 has more levity now. Like, it's less serious, it's less funny of a movie. Guardians 3 has a lot of stake and
it had a good amount of funny, and
it did, yeah. But you are right about his template, right? Like just crazy banter, craziness. Like Suicide Squad had that, right? Now with him writing and directing Superman, I think that's why people initially were not excited about that because Superman cannot be like that. Like like Zack Snyder's Superman because it captures the epicness of him. Now it got some other things wrong, but I still like those movies, right? So I'm excited for James Gunn to bring his competence with filmmaking. Like he makes good movies most of the time now, especially. I'm excited for him to bring that into Superman. And he said Superman is his favorite comic book hero. Like it's his favorite hero. So I'm hoping he brings that into the film and Superman cannot be like this. It can have funny moments, but it's got to be serious. It's got to have huge cosmic proportions. Like it's got to be big. And I'm excited to watch something that's not just kind of dumb to watch. Like that's what Zack Snyder's Superman felt like at times, just big and schlocky and kind of dumb. And I liked it for what it was, but You're right. That's why I'm excited for Superman Legacy. That's what the movie's called, because I think it's going to be a departure from Guardians and from Suicide Squad. Like, I do think it will be a departure. So I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, to what James Gunn, and maybe he's bad at that. Maybe it sucks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. I'm like, will he be able to do like just serious?
So Josh, is there anything you would critique this movie? Any critiques you have before we end?
I don't know. I don't think like right now, because that whole like James Gunn template thing is like new, I wouldn't even really call that a critique. I just think that's something I'm worried about in the future. And I mean, I don't have like super like strong feelings towards DC. It's always just kind of been like, yeah, it's there.
Right.
I like the Flash, but other than that, I'm like, this movie, like I can't really think of anything that's a critique. I like the movie. There was actually 2 songs in the playlist of this that I like have listened to and added to my playlist. So I love hearing music that I listen to, and like it's not popular music in movies. And for it to be in a MCU movie, it was like, wow. Like San Francisco by the Mowglis and The Dog Days Are Over.
So Josh,
which is like
me
a huge part of it.
That part was awesome too. Like that, the handing over of the torch, like the new decade, right?
Yeah.
Like this, and when he started playing Florence, and I love Florence. Like we've been to her twice, and
oh really? Wow.
That was a great moment. Like just the
I love that song.
Yeah.
And it started song. Playing. I'm like, what?
Yes.
I know this song.
So good. But that
and there was
part hit well. Yeah, that's great.
There was one clip where Gamora was in the ship, and she was like, she realized that it was the volcano was exploding or whatever.
Right.
And she like turned on the ship, and it started playing San Francisco by the Mowglis. Yes. And it was like a 2-second clip of it. But I'm like, I know that song. Like that was in my summer playlist last year. And so I thought that was just like super cool to hear. And I love just having that extra connection to a film. So yeah, the music was good. I loved the Creep Radiohead acoustic.
Yeah, so good.
And the one song that was in the trailer, like they really just lived up to and I thought it was cool that they were using newer music, and as it went on, the music got newer.
But again, Josh, that's an arc that's another arc. Like that's another
like the music.
This movie is about the ending of things that you love and the beginning of other things, right? It's really
so
well
good.
done.
And looking at the whole trilogy together, it's so smooth.
Yes.
It's so good. It's like the Star Wars sequels we never had. So
take notes, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. And so
no critiques, eh? Yeah.
We didn't really talk about the music. That I love the music. I've always loved the music in these movies. And so
was moments in this movie, Josh? Like, is this your favorite Guardians 4 music because of those moments? Like, did you feel the payoff?
Maybe. I felt the most connection. Like I really like now I feel a lot of connection to the soundtrack of the first one because it's just I remember that. And I remember watching Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out. And I loved because I first found out about Guardians of the Galaxy in the Lego Marvel game. And so I was like, when I found out that Guardians of the Galaxy was becoming a thing, I'm like, whoa, I actually know about this before it comes out. And so I've always had this like connection to Guardians of the Galaxy, and I've always loved it. I just remember times listening to the soundtrack and biking or walking.
Yeah.
And just I have so much, like, it's probably one of the most emotionally attached I am to a series of movies. Like, the most I've cared about them. And so when the movie was announced that it was coming out, I was like, I really hope this is good because I'm going to be super disappointed if it isn't. And so it was just so good just to have it work. And because it's, again, like it's one of those parts of MCU that I actually cared about and always have. And so, it's just, I love how the music gets newer and I could actually have that emotional connection to the music in this one. And it just makes me happy. that it did well.
I'm glad you brought up the music. I do have it written in my phone. I just realized I forgot to talk about it. But yeah, that moment where Rocket puts on Florence, the machine.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, what? Like, and it's just like such a perfect new era moment, eh? Like it's such a perfect song because it contrasts Creep at the beginning where, you know, they're celebrating how they're creeps. Like they're actually celebrating that they are misfits and they're together and they've won this thing together. And the payoff is just, it's there. Like it's really well done. So
it is. Wow. And yeah, the music really adds to it. And I can't believe we could totally gloss past that because music has been a huge part of Guardians of the Galaxy the whole time. And yeah, this one didn't disappoint. And so
yeah, critique, man. Like I want to give this movie a 5 out of 5. I don't know if it is a 5 out of 5, but I can't find, you know, maybe the formulaic part of it, maybe, but I just thought this movie was anti-formulaic because it just focused so much just on individual story arcs and like small things, right? Like it is formulaic, you know, there's a fight at the end.
I think the reason that the formula still works is because it's so different compared to the rest of the MCU that it's like you almost don't. I didn't notice the formulaic part of it. Well, and that's the thing.
The formula. What I mean is, I didn't either. Like the reason why it works in this movie is because we care about the characters and the writing is good, and it's like we're on the journey. I mean, that's why you can tell the same story over and over again because the plot is not what drives storytelling. It's the characters, right? And we love these characters, and they telling the backstory of Rocket and just diving into that and having him be the star of this movie and watching Peter's emotion regarding saving him. Like it's just all really well done. And it was predictable, but at the same time, they played on those expectations in all the right ways. Right. And you bought those moments because you were emotionally attached. You wanted to stand up and cheer when his dead friend was like, it's not your time. Cause it's like, oh yes. Like Peter's going to be happy. And then even after that, there is still a bit of tension where it's like, yeah, we saved our friend, but what's next? Right. And it's just really well done in that way. So it's because we cared about these characters. And the last time I cared about characters in a Marvel film was Spider-Man 3. Yeah. And before that, it was Endgame. All of it kind of stopped at Endgame for me with that type of emotional. It
really was the Endgame.
Even if I liked WandaVision and I liked some of that stuff, it just doesn't have this
never had the connection.
No, it doesn't have it. And so, and I don't care about Loki. I never will because I don't care about that character as much as Rocket Raccoon and Peter Quill and even Gamora and all that stuff. I think that's why the formula, you don't notice it in this movie because all the other stuff is so well done. And that's what movies are about. You know, that's what they're about. Yeah.
And I know this isn't fair, but I almost want to give it like this movie could be 10 out of 10, but I almost don't want to give it that because it's Marvel. And I think it feels like the Marvel part, this being a Marvel movie brings it down. Like it almost feels wrong to give it that. And it's not anything to do with the movie or James Gunn. And it's not fair, but it being Marvel makes it worse in a way.
I think to build on that, Josh, for me, the reason I'm not going to give it 5 out of 5 is because it has that formula. Like it has the end battle. It has the villain is great. I thought he was a good villain compared to what we've been getting, but I do agree with you now in the sense that he's kind of forgettable in some ways.
Like his name isn't. No, we don't know his name.
And High Evolutionary is his name. Like there is still like a checkpoint plot in this movie where it's like we got to do this,
and I think it comes down to it being a Marvel movie, and that's its downfall.
So that's why for me, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Because it is, I don't want to say just because it is a Marvel movie, but I think it just follows, well, Martin Scorsese would say a theme park aesthetic, right? Where it's like Marvel movies are theme park rides. They're not actual movies. I disagree with that. I think this is an actual film with a good story, good characters, a big heart.
A lot of them are like theme park rides.
Especially now, right? So
yeah.
And I think, so that's what I would give it. And just because, and I think also too, just because you're so attached emotionally doesn't mean you should give a movie a good score. I do think that formula is tired. And there were moments too where the humor didn't land for me, even though it landed in other areas. Like there were some moments where I didn't laugh and they were trying hard for a laugh. And, you know, and it just
that's
has
with a lot of movies.
Yeah. So it's just, does it lean into the humor a bit much? Yes. Is this movie a tad bit too long? Yes. The ending does go on for a bit. I did like it. Like I didn't feel like it was tacked on.
Yeah, the ending does feel pretty long.
Yeah.
It's like Rocket has been saved and then it keeps going. I'm like, what?
Well, he goes back to save the other animals and
you know,
that moment could have been shortened.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's similar to Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, because in the end of that movie, it kept going and I'm like, why are you still playing?
Right.
And that movie's just a downfall. Like it starts off so good and just continues to spiral, but that's totally off topic.
Yeah.
But
I do think this is one of my favorite Marvel films ever.
Yeah.
Like I really do. And I think the Guardians trilogy is a great trilogy. Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is my favorite trilogy in the MCU.
Oh, definitely an MCU, 100%. Yeah, I like it more than the Spider-Man one for sure. The new one. Yeah. It's good. It's really good. So Josh, what would you give this out of 10 stars?
I'd say like a 9.
Yeah. Nice.
9 out of 10.
Man, what a good movie.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to give it 10.
Perfect. Yeah.
Because even though it's really good, it's just it can't be perfect with that Marvel tagline.
Well, I think this is the last excellent Marvel film we're gonna get. Like it's kind of a mess right now, and Blade's getting a new writer again, a new director again. Like there's so much turmoil in other Marvel projects.
And you know, it looked like there was a light at the end of the tunnel
with Ant-Man. Yeah, with Kane.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, maybe this can be good, but now it's just
like I don't think I'm gonna go to another Marvel film. I think I am done. Like,
I can't even think of other Marvel films,
and I can't imagine a movie coming out after this. Like it's just.
The only Marvel movie I'll go to, which is it's not the MCU, is Spider-Verse.
Right.
But that one is safe because it's not under the MCU.
Sony.
It's Sony. And so, like, even that movie, like, that movie can have a 10 out of 10 because it's not under under Disney.
Well,
and so,
dude, I am so pumped for James Gunn doing DC now. Like, I cannot wait.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting.
I'm so excited.
The Flash was always my favorite. I actually watched the CW Flash for a couple seasons and then stopped because it got really bad. The only thing is I'm kind of afraid because it's Ezra Miller and.
Well, here's the thing about Ezra Miller. He's crazy and he's convicted and he's nuts. He's not making any money off of this movie. They've said that.
Oh, well, that's good.
He hasn't made any money. They didn't pay him. And I think they're just. Like,
and he still went along with that?
Oh, he has to. It's all legally binding.
I guess he can't really do anything.
He doesn't have control over that. Especially after being a convicted criminal and leader of a cult and crap like that. Like, he's nuts. So when you go to pay for the Flash, you're not paying him. I care more about the art than the person. So I don't agree with anything Ezra Miller stands for. And he's an abuser and whatnot, but I'm glad he's not making royalties off this movie, or he made money off it. So, and the Flash is a Flashpoint story, so it's resetting everything.
That's good.
So there'll be a new Flash after this, I'm pretty sure. So, I think DC they already filmed it and it's there, and they didn't want to refilm it. And,
okay, the thing with this movie is I remember hearing about it so long ago when the CW show
Right.
was like in season 2, and I was like, it was like 2017 or something, and I was like, I'm so excited for this movie, and then it just kept getting pushed back, and
Yeah, well, and COVID and all this stuff. I think they were contemplating reshooting it because of the Ezra stuff. That's why they pushed it back as well. And now they're just biting the bullets. And I'm still excited for it. Like I don't think going to a movie endorses anyone either. Like they're playing a character, right? So I and I love DC, and I like DC's model better than MCU because their model fits comic books more. Like they're using the same characters in different types of stories and timelines and stuff, and it's more of a comic book approach. And I like the Zack Snyder stuff. I liked Man of Steel, BVS. I liked the actual 4-hour long Justice League, not the other one. I liked his trilogy. So, and I'm excited for it to get rebooted. Like, I think Flashpoint, the comic that Scott Snyder wrote with Jeff Johns. I love Flashpoint. It's one of the best DC comics in a long time, and I'm excited for them to do that version in a movie form. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Lots of people are in it, from old school Batman to Ben Affleck Batman. So I think
true.
I think it'll be cool. Like we haven't seen that. Marvel hasn't really done that except for Spider-Man 3. You know what I mean? So
Jurassic World
did that.
Dominion did it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we love Guardians. Go watch Guardians. And
maybe DC will be our new thing because Marvel sure ain't it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm very curious and excited to see what James Gunn does.
Is it safe to say, besides the Spider-Man Spider-Verse thingy, that this will be our last Marvel MCU
I'm not a
review for a long time?
Like our Marvel stuff gets views, so I think we should still review Marvel stuff.
Well, I don't plan on doing it.
And even if we don't like the stuff, like we can't just review stuff we like, right? So I think we probably will see some Marvel stuff, even though we're kind of done with it.
So it's not safe to say, and that makes me really sad.
Because we have a movie podcast, Josh, if you didn't notice.
Right. I forgot that I have the bylaw.
And you're gonna watch Twilight. We're gonna do Twilight.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
There you go.
I forgot about that.
We have to respect our audience, right. Josh. You talked about that.
I know. Yeah.
So we so that's our review, and that's episode
11.
What episode is it? 25? 24?
I don't know. It's episode 11.
Episode 25, I think. Yeah. So there we go.
Wow, look at that. 25.
Thank you for listening. Woo. Do you have a word, Josh, for this week? Do you do the word?
If you made it this far,
just
be like, text me, I did it. And you're probably going to have to add context, because if you just send me, I did it out of nowhere, I'll be like, what did you do?
I love it. Yeah. And maybe, we're not doing weekly right now. We're going to try to do that. So we'll keep episode length in mind, but you haven't heard us for 2 weeks, or for a week. Sorry. So 2 weeks ago, you heard us last. So
yeah,
this one's longer because of that.
If you're still listening,
but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the views and the shares, and
thank you to all our support.
It's good. Yeah.
So thank you if you stuck around through our. Actually, we can't really say anything because the last time we just dropped off, it was for like 4 months.
So we're doing pretty good.
So 1 week is nothing.
Right. Yeah. It was like 4 months. And then we did Avatar too, remember? That was like our comeback.
Yeah. And there's a chance that we might go to bi-weekly in the summer, but
yeah, it's fine.
We'll see. Just know that we still appreciate all of you who listen. And if you made it this far,
I still would love to do the Babadook, by the way. With
yeah.
So
I feel so blessed if you made it this far into the podcast.
Awesome.
And so please text me, I did it, with context, and I will. Yeah. And don't forget to close the door on the way out.
Ciao.